Here we have a pretty complicated problem. We have e to the 6x over 1 minus e to the 6x. So we want to remember that if it's a quotient rule, u is being manipulated as long as it's in the denominator. So again, there's not a power written on the denominator, but we know it's related to the -1. So we're going to make u that entire denominator and see if it works out to do this u substitution. So u is going to be 1 minus e to the 6x. So this is some good review, taking the derivative of this. Derivative of 1 is just 0 because it's a constant. And then we have minus the derivative of e to the 6x. So this was going back to derivative rules. So you want to take the derivative of the power times e to the original power. So the derivative of 6x is 6. And then you have e to that original power. And then lastly, we want to get to u by itself, so we're going to multiply it by dx. Okay. So now we're going to do our substitution. We want to remember that we picked u to be the denominator. So u is right here, and it's raised to a negative power since it's in the denominator, and a 1 because the power is not written. It's not like the whole thing is raised to a 4th in the denominator or something, so it's u to the -1. And then everything left over has to be my perfect du, or has to only be off by a constant, not an x. So what I have left over is e to the 6x dx, which is perfect. I needed an e to the 6x dx, but I'm missing this -6. So we're missing a -6 on the inside. One option is to just put it in there. Visually see that -6 in there, but you can't multiply it by a negative and make it 6 times too big. You're going to put the reciprocal outside. So you're going to do 1 over -6. As long as there's a 1 over -6 on the outside, then you know you have that -6 e to the 6x dx on the inside, or really just your du is what that would be subbed with. That's totally fine. The other way of saying it is that you're missing a negative, and it was 1/6 of what you needed to be on the inside. So it was 1/6 of your perfect du, so you have a -1/6 outside. Whichever way makes more sense to you, I'm going to say it both ways each time. So we'd have 1 over -6, and now we're going to integrate this the same way we do with x's. We would add 1, so -1 plus 1 is 0, but again, we can't have 1 over 0, u to the 0. You can't divide by 0. When you get 0, it must be an ln of u plus k. And then we'd have 1 over -6 ln, and we're going to replace this with x's and put a plus c at the end. So we just need to look back at what u was in terms of x's, and it is 1 minus e to the 6x in there. Very tough problem, maybe the toughest problem in this entire section is that one there. Having an e to the 6x makes it tough to take the derivative of when we do our du, but we made it through knowing that a quotient rule, u is typically going to just be that denominator.